Step-by-step exam solutions. Okay, math class, training you to excel. Subscribe to step-by-step exam solutions. Give a thumbs up. Share with friends. Click the notification button so that you receive the next presentation. Okay, math class, present step-by-step to exam success. Step 1, pray. Step 2, plan. Step 3, prepare. Step 4, preview. Step 5, perform. Okay, math class, step-by-step exam solutions to histogram. In this new presentation, we'll be studying statistics, and we're going to study number 1, histograms. Bar chart, number 2. Number 3, pie chart. Number 3, calculation of mean, median, and mode. Number 4, standard deviation. Number 6, mean deviation, etc. Our objective in this present presentation are: number 1, prepare a frequency distribution table. Number 2, choose a reasonable uniform scale. Number 3, draw a histogram and use it to answer questions. The number of child births recorded in 50 maternity centers of a local government in August 1993 are as follows. You can see the table. A. Construct a frequency distribution table using the class intervals 45 to 54, 55 to 64. B. Draw the histogram for the distribution. C. Use your histogram to estimate the mode. D. Calculate the mean number of births. We are going to solve the question together now. The first question: construct a frequency distribution table using the class intervals of 45 to 54, 55 to 64, etc. Now, these are the set of data we are going to use to prepare this frequency distribution table. And then we are going to prepare the classes for the number of births in this particular local government area. The first class will be 45 to 54. Second class, 55 to 64, down to 105 to 114. So we're going to count. Let's count the set of data that belongs to 45 to 54. 50, and that's the only one. So the tally will give us 1. The frequency is 1. Then we're going to do the same for 55 to 64. That's 57. And then we'll have 62. So these are the numbers that belong to this set of data in the class of 55 to 64. So this gives us the tally, and the frequency will be 2. For the next class, 65 to 74, we are going to count. We have 1. Then you have number 2 here. Then number 3. Number 4. Number 5. Number 6, number 7, number 8, number 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then finally number 15. So we're now going to draw the tally. The first 5 group, the next 5 group, and the third 5 group, giving us a frequency of 15. For the next class, 75 to 84. Following the same thing we have done now, we are going to have the number as being highlighted. We have seen the numbers as being highlighted. So now we can see that will give us from the tally we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. First 5 groups, second 5 groups, the third 5 groups, and the fourth 5 groups, giving us a frequency of 20. For the class of 85 to 94, For the class of 85 to 94, we are going to have, that is 1, that is 2, that is 3, that is 4, that is 5. Then we have that up to that. That gives us about 8 of them. So we will now draw the tally, the group of 5, and then 3. Frequency is 8. For the class of 95 to 104, we repeat the same process. 1, 2, 3. So we draw the tally, the frequency is 3. For the class of 105 to 114, we have just 1. And that is 1, and that gives us a frequency of 1. Adding all this frequency with calculator, 1 plus 3 plus 15 plus 20 plus 8 plus 3 plus 1 will give us a total of 50. So now, to draw the histogram, we need to find the class boundaries for each of these classes. So let us get the class boundaries for each class. Then we're going to add a table to get a class boundary. For the first class, 45 to 54, subtract 0.5 from 45 and add 0.5 to 55. You are going to get 44.5 to 54.5. Here, subtract 0.5 here and add 0.5 to 64. Now you discover the pattern. That gives us 64.5 to 74.5. Then the next will give us 74.5 to 84.5. The next will give us 84.5 to 94.5. The next will give us 94.5 to 104.5. And finally, 104.5 to 114.5. Now, we are going to begin to answer the first question. Draw the histogram for the distribution. We are going to go straight to the graph board to draw the histogram. So here we have our scale. And then we are going to draw our axis. On the y-axis, you have every 2 centimeters is 5. Every 2 centimeters is 5. The next will be 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. On the x-axis, every 2 centimeters will be 10, 44.5 to 54.5, using the class boundaries. The class boundaries for the classes. So we are going to start drawing the histogram. Now, for the class of 44.5 to 54.5, the frequency is 1. So for 1, you are going to count how many squares will give us 1. If 0 to 5 has 10 squares, so 2 squares will give us 1. So 1 will be at this point. Then I click that class, it will give me the histogram. For the next histogram, 54.5 to 64.5, the frequency is 2. Now from this class, this is 1. The next 2 small squares will give us 2. That will give me the histogram up to that point. For the class of 64.5 to 74.5, the frequency is 15. So now we move up to 15 at this point. Then we click to the class to give us the histogram. The next class, 74.5 to 84.5, is 20. 20 will be at this level. Then we click the class with frequency of 20 to give us the histogram. Then the next is 8. 8 will be, here you have 10 minus 1 minus another 1, that's 8. That will give me the histogram at that point. The next one will be 3. The height of the histogram or the height of the rectangle will be 3. So we have 3. Then the next one, 3, and then 1. Then we have the histogram. Now the question says here, use your histogram to estimate the mode. We are going to estimate the mode. How do we do this? It's very simple. From the top left corner of the tallest rectangle here, we drop a line to the left corner of the rectangle after it. So now let's do that now. The red line represents that line. We'll do the same thing from the right top corner here. We join it to the right top corner of the rectangle to the left of the modal class. That gives me the black line. The red line and the red line and the black line intersect at this point. That point is the mode. Remember, the blue rectangle is the modal class. The mode is the particular number with the highest frequency in this particular class. And that's what is being indicated by the arrow. So we're going to drop a vertical line to the x-axis, giving us the number of that in that local government. Now, you can see if this is 74.5 and you have 10 small squares in 2 centimeters, which represent 10. So each one small square is 1. So if this is 74.5, this should be 75.5. This should be 76.5. So therefore, the mode is equal to 76.5 for the number of bats in this particular local government. Now we are going to go back to the board to continue answering the other part of the questions. Next questions. Calculate the mean number of bats. The mean number of bats in this particular local government area. Let's see how we can do this. So we bring in the table we have done already, giving us the number of bats in classes of 45 to 54 down to 105 to 114. And this represents the frequency for each class shown here. So the next we need to do is to calculate the class centers. The class centers is like the class representative. It is the average of the two class limits. The lower limit is 45. The upper limit is 54. The average of 45 and 54 will give us the class center. So we now draw the table for the class center. And to get the class center, as I said, you add the lower class limit and the upper class limit. 45 plus 54 divided by 2 will give us 49.5. So that will give us the first class center is 49.5. Doing the same thing here, add 55 to 64 and divide by 2. Give us the class center for the second class as 59.5. Can you discover the pattern here? The difference between the first class and the second class here is 10, and that is called the class size. So if the size of each class is 10, that means if I add 10 to 49.5, I have 59.5. Then I'll add 10 to 59.5. It will give me 69.5. So the pattern is continuous addition of 10. So now add 10, 79.5, 89.5, 99.5, 109.5. So now we have the class centers. Now we are going to find the product of the frequency and the class center. And this will enable us to calculate the mean. So calculate the product of the frequency and the class center. Now that means for the first class, I'm going to calculate the product of this and this. 1 multiplied by 49.5. You can do this with your calculator. You have 49.5. Then 59.5 multiplied by 2. With calculator, you can get this. 119. Then 69.5 multiplied by 15 will give us 1,042.5. Then 20 multiplied by 79.5 will give me 1,669.5. 89.5 multiplied by 8. With calculator, you can get that. 626.5. 99.5 multiplied by 3. 298.5. 109.5 multiplied by 1 will give us 109.5. Using the calculator, we're going to add 49.5 to 119, then down to the last number here, 109.5. If you use calculator and add these numbers one after the other, the total you will get will give us a 3,915. That is the product of the frequency and the class center. Now, to calculate the mean, we write the formula for the calculation of the mean. The summation of the frequency here, which is this. So you have the summation of the frequency, the product of the frequency and class center, fx, divided by the total frequency. And then that will give me 3,915. Then we're going to divide that by 50. With calculator, we can do this. 3,915 divided by 50 will give me 78.3. That brings us to the end of this presentation. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe.